we are now experiencing very interesting times. Right now, according to multiple reports, there's 112 million people here in the United States that are at risk of becoming homeless. That is because about 50% of all people that own a home cannot afford it. This is a major issue. This is more than just the payment and property taxes. This is more than just maintenance, right? Insurance. There's a lot of stuff here, and I want to unpack all that in today's video. And the reason why is because of one simple thing. One of the things that's holding up inflation is shelter. That means houses, your home. If we see shelter collapse, inflation is going to fall right alongside with it. So, according to many, they say that's all we're waiting on. Let's just wait and see the housing market completely crumble. But it might be for a different reason. Now, let's get into this, because here's what we know. The average cost of home insurance here in the United States in 2023 for a $250,000 home, okay, is right about $1,430, okay? So we'll just say like $110 a month. That's basically what it is, right? 120, something like that anyway. But here's the problem. We're going to see the cost for home insurance jump by about 9% this year. Many people are struggling just to pay their home, their payment, right? Just everything. And then you factor in a 9% jump on your home's insurance. That's going to make it unaffordable to many people. Or, which is actually happening now, people can't afford their other bills simply because they know they have to pay their home insurance. But it doesn't stop there. In a recent report, it now says that about 49% of homeowners cannot afford their new payments. They can't afford them. They signed on for something that they knew they couldn't afford. Now, it's partially because they signed up for a mortgage that they couldn't afford, but again, at the same time, they couldn't afford rents where they were living either. This is a major concern because right now, we've seen over the past few years, lawmakers have been pushing for affordable housing, but we haven't seen it. We haven't got it. Okay? So in an attempt to get away from the rental market, more people decided to buy homes that they knew they couldn't afford over the past few years. And now, almost 50% of those people say they can't afford their payment. Now, experts worry that this could change the dynamic of real estate moving forward. But I want to explain something else that's going on at this time. Now, I talk to a lot of people. Here inside the YouTube community, here on this channel as well. Talk to a lot of people outside of it and other businesses and other things also. Now, I was talking to a community member just the other day, and he was telling me that he was about a little over 2 months behind on his mortgage. Now, we got into some detail, and I continued to ask questions about how he could potentially get out of this mess. And you wouldn't believe what he told me. But this is something that I've heard from multiple people over the past 6 months as well, and I want to address what he said. Okay? So, this is what he said. He said, I would love to sell my house. I thought buying it back in 2021 would mean it would only go up in value. At least that's what I was told. And I could afford it much easier with the rate. My rate at this time is only 2.86%, and there is never going to be a time in history when we see this again. At this point, I'm just hoping that the bank doesn't foreclose on my home, but for now, I will try to hold them off for as long as possible, but not being able to work and living on my spouse's income alone has proven difficult. Any advice? So here's what we discussed. First off, if you are trying to pay a mortgage and all your bills under one person's income, it puts a lot of pressure on that one person. Okay? The other thing is, if this person cannot go and get a job, that makes it, if they say they're unable, but not being able to work. I don't know if they are looking for a job. I don't know if they got hurt. I don't know. Okay, I didn't ask that. But again, if you are trying to live off of one person's income, that person's income better be substantial, or else you run the risk of not being able to pay all your bills. Here's the other issue. A lot of people are now being told that now's the time to go buy a home. Buy it now, because guess what? There's not a lot of homes out there. It's gonna go up. That's what we're hearing. My expectation is real estate prices are gonna go down, not up. Just because the Fed paused rates doesn't mean now's a good time to go buy. It just doesn't mean it. Okay? Be patient. Take your time. Get something that has value. Now, real estate has value, but you may overpay for something compared to what you think you're actually getting. This is why you need to be patient. Now, I also spoke with somebody else. This person sent me an email, and this is the first time, this is before we went back and forth. Listen to what this person had to say. And this is something that I think is troubling, because I'm seeing this a lot lately. This person says, "Sir, I could really use your help. In the city that I live in, renting anything of size is very unaffordable. And even buying a house with today's rates has a lower payment than renting. In the last month, I spoke with a realtor, and she reaffirmed that now is quite possibly the best time to buy anything, because there are so few buyers and more deals popping up on the market every single day. I know if my wife and I could qualify, in bold letters, could qualify, the payment would leave us with no extra money at the end of the month. My realtor said that the house we are looking at is only 10 years old and won't need any maintenance, in bold letters, any maintenance done for a long time. But how can I be certain of this? If something major were to happen with this house before we can refinance it, then we wouldn't be able to pay for it. But we are highly considering this deal, as it would save us almost $200 a month compared to renting. Any help you could provide would be greatly appreciated. Thanks." Now, this is what is troubling. This is what I've been seeing so often lately. First off, renting is actually becoming, in the city that they live in, renting anything of size is very unaffordable. Here's the problem. Renting things right now, a lot of people say, oh, renting, it's just as expensive as buying a home. No, it's not. Just because you're renting something that's, say, $2,000 a month, and you're buying a home at $2,000 a month, doesn't mean it's apples to apples. When you rent, you don't have to worry about property taxes going up. You don't have to worry about your insurance going up. You don't have to worry about the furnace going out. Okay? You do not have to worry about the roof leaking. All right? All things that can happen with a rental and a home. If you are the homeowner, you have to pay for those things, or you just let it go on. Just listen to this, okay? So as far as a down payment, when you buy a home, in most cases you have to put a down payment down. According to a recent survey, 36% of Americans could not afford, or 36% of potential home buyers can't even afford a 5% down payment. 36% of those can't afford it. They're hoping for a 0% or maximum 3%. They can't afford 5%. Forget 20%, not even in the question. So the down payment, if you buy a home, is much different. Now, if you buy a home and you put down a 5% down payment, let's say it's a $200,000 home, right? Well, you just put down $10,000 as a down payment. Well, if you go and lose that home, you just lost your $10,000. If you have a rental, or you're going to rent something, let's say you pay last month's rent and a deposit of 50% of that. So you pay $5,000. That's first month's, that's last month's, and it's a 50% deposit, $1,000. Okay, that's $5,000. You're probably thinking, well, might as well buy a home at that amount, right? This is part of the backwards thinking. And this is why realtors are really hurting right now, because they're trying to drum up business. The problem is people can't afford these things, but when they try to explain it and sell them on buying a home, this is what causes issues. This is why people have got in over their head. Because when you look at this, if you're renting, you pay first month's rent, last month's rent, and a 50% deposit, right? That's $5,000. But yet you got 2 months you can live in that. First month and the last month. 2 months. And if you don't break anything, you will at least get, hopefully, you'll get the majority of your $1,000 back. Might be a little bit of a cleaning fee, but that'll be about it. Also, if you rent, you don't need flood insurance. When I bought my last house, I had to get flood insurance, additional flood insurance, because where we kind of live, it created there was like a valley, and the water would just come running down the street, right? So we had to protect the home. New locks, when you rent, guess what? You don't have to worry about new locks. They do not want you changing the locks. But when you buy a new home, chances are one of the first things you're going to need to do, put new locks on it. I always replace them every single time. Maybe you want new paint, new flooring. Guess what? In the rental, you don't have to put new paint on the walls. You don't have to put in new flooring. They're responsible for all that, not you. Let's say the HVAC system goes out. You don't got $10,000 to put in a new one? Well, tough luck. Well, if you're in a rental, guess what? They do it for you. They will pay for it, not you. Let's say the roof leaks. And this actually happened to one of my friends. He bought a house, 8 months ago, 10 months ago. And the second month of ownership, he actually had to go and put on a new roof because they couldn't figure out where the leak was. They just couldn't figure it out. That is part of the problem. Okay? But guess what? Did he account for that? No. Did the inspector see that there was a roof leak? No. Right? That wasn't something that was even found. And so he had to put on a new roof. That was easy $6,000, $7,000 that he had put on. That I had to pay. Something else that I had to do when I bought my, I think it was one of the last house. Anyway, the previous homeowner took the majority of the light bulbs. Well, that wasn't part of the house. That wasn't part of the sale, right? I could have fought him on that, but I don't think I won the light bulbs either. So I had to put in about $250 in lights, just light bulbs, to go put new light bulbs in the house. So this is part of the issue, and this is why I'm bringing this up, because right now a lot of people think it's time to go buy a house. The Fed paused rates, so the next step is the Federal Reserve is likely to lower rates. And as they lower rates, property values should go up. However, as they raise rates, property values didn't go down yet. We're still waiting on that. So right now, this is part of the problem. And this is why experts say that there's over 112 million people at risk of becoming potentially homeless, because they may try to buy something too early and then they will definitely not be able to afford it. So again, take that into consideration. There's a lot of stuff that goes into home ownership that most people do not ever know until they buy a home and realize, oh, that expense is on them. So just wanted to fill you in on what's going on at this time. Right now, again, there's a lot of people wanting to buy a home, and I completely understand. But the one problem that you're going to face is, guess what? You might be overspending. You might be overdoing it, and your budget might not be able to handle it. So that's what we know at this time. Again, as always, as I find out more, and I will keep you up to date on everything that's going on, all you got to do is hit that like button, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one.